For Finance 440, you're going to do a course project throughout the quarter. Basically, we're pretending that I was your client, and a couple of years ago I came to you with $50,000. And I said, either put this money in a mutual fund, put all of it in a mutual fund, or choose 5 stocks and put $10,000 in each. And so your job for this very first project is to choose the 5 stocks and choose a mutual fund. And that's it, essentially, for the first project. And then throughout the quarter, we will calculate returns on the stocks in the fund, risk using standard deviation and beta, risk-adjusted performance measures using the Jensen's alpha technique, the Sharpe index or the Sharpe ratio and the Trainer index, and determine an optimal weighting scheme rather than just putting 10,000 each of 50,000 into the 5 stocks, which is a 20% weight. There's actually an optimal weighting scheme that we could have chosen, and we'll solve for that. But first, you just need to choose your 5 stocks in your fund. So if you click on the Finance 440 website on Canvas and go to assignments, projects, it's at the very bottom, and click on project 1, you'll see the first assignment. Now, the very first thing that you need to do is choose a partner. Once you choose a partner, go to People on the Canvas website and view user groups. Yours will look probably a bit different than mine since I'm logged in as an instructor and not a student. And then find your name and just drag it over to an empty group, and it should pop up there. I think I need to click on that to expand it. And I just dragged Shannon's name over there. I'm going to drag Shannon back over here to get her out of that group. But so find your name and just drag it to a group. If your partner already has done this, drag your name to your partner's group. Make sure you talk to that person before you choose them as a partner. But once you've chosen your group, and there will just be 2 people in a group for a total of, I think there are 20 people enrolled, so there should be 10 groups. Then we'll go back to assignments and back to the first project. And you'll see there's just a place for you to type in your company names, their ticker symbol, the stock exchange they trade on, and then yes or no as to whether or not they pay a dividend. And I'll show you how to find this information in a minute. And you're choosing 5 of those companies, and then you'll choose just 1 fund. And I just, in this block cell right here, I want you to put the fund name and its ticker symbol. So the only requirements is that the stock must trade on the New York Stock Exchange, American Stock Exchange, or over the counter, or NASDAQ, NASDAQ, that it'll be called. Basically, I don't want it to trade on a foreign exchange. It must have been around for the last 2 years, because we're pretending that 2 years ago I came to you with this money to invest for me, and so you would have purchased stocks that were publicly traded at the time. And then I want at least one of the companies to have paid a recent dividend. And your fund must have been incorporated for 2 years as well. But it doesn't have to pay a dividend, although most of them probably will. And mutual funds don't trade on the stock exchange, so you don't have to worry about that. But to determine whether or not your companies meet these requirements or the fund meets the requirement, one of the easiest places to find this information is just at Yahoo's finance website. And if you don't know what company you want to use, you could go over here to the financial visualizations website, finviz.com, and they give you ways to just quickly search for companies. For instance, over here, this is called a heat map, and if I click on that, I can expand it. And this is the heat map for the Standard & Poor's 500. if it's a green color, a bright green, then the stock did quite well that day. So this is the 1-day performance, but I could look at the past year if I wanted, and the heat map will look a little bit different. For the past year, the stock market's done quite well, so almost all the stocks in the S&P 500 are green. But you can see this, well, let me give you a little more background. This heat map is broken down into sectors. There's the technology sector, the service sector, basic materials, consumer goods, healthcare, utilities, industrial goods, etc. And then sectors are broken down into different industries. Here's application software, diversified computer systems, semiconductors under the technology sector. I'm not quite sure if y'all can see that on the video very well. But you can see like the utilities sector didn't do that well. And I can tell because it's not as bright green as, let's say, the basic materials sector or the financial sector. And the larger the rectangle for a stock, that means it's got a larger market cap value. So the market value of its total common stock is relatively large. So ExxonMobil has a pretty big market cap compared to the other companies in this industry. But this is one way to find a company that you might be interested in. So if you're really interested in, let's say, PEP, I can click on it and, excuse me, it will, I've lost it. Where did it go? Oh, shoot. I'm just going to reload and hopefully that will start me over again. So I can click on PEP, which is PepsiCo. I can tell right here, though, I don't know if you can see that, it says plus 24.65%, I think, is the annual or the return that Pepsi generated in the last year. But maybe that's one company that I want to use. So PEP is the ticker symbol. I'll just keep that in mind. To learn more about diversification, it would help a lot if you chose companies from different sectors. So maybe choose, and the sectors, remember, are represented by these blue headers. So I could choose one from the technology sector, one from industrial goods, one from basic materials, one from services, and one from financial, for instance. Or maybe choose 4 from different sectors, and the 5th one choose from the same industry as one of your other companies, just to see if stocks in the same industry tend to move together and stocks from other sectors entirely tend to move together or opposite, or maybe just there's no correlation. But anyway, you can look at this. There are basically 500 companies represented on this heat map right here, and you can choose one from this method, or you can choose another company. The only requirement is that it be publicly traded for at least 2 years, and at least one of those 5 companies that you choose pays a dividend. So once you know the company name or the ticker, go over to Yahoo's finance website, and I happen to know the ticker for Pepsi now is PEP, and so I can just type in the ticker. But if I didn't know the ticker symbol, like if I want to use Microsoft and I'm not quite certain what the ticker symbol is, then I didn't start typing in the full name. But let's go back and do PEP. So type in the ticker and search. Here I now have the company's full name. Their ticker symbol is what's in the parentheses right here. This NYSE tells me what stock exchange it trades on. And then, so that's 3 bits of information that you need for your first project. And then the last bit is whether or not it pays a dividend. And all I need to do is look right here. If it has a number here, then the answer is yes, it pays a dividend. Basically, Pepsi paid a $2.27 dividend over the past year. I don't need to know the amount that it paid, just yes or no, whether or not it paid a dividend. Let's see. I don't think Green Mountain Coffee Roasters pays a dividend, so I'm just going to pop this. Oh, I'm wrong. It does pay a dividend because I see right here it's got numbers. I'm trying to think of a company that doesn't pay a dividend. Facebook probably does not. And I just want to show you what it looks like if it doesn't pay a dividend. So if it doesn't pay a dividend, it'll just have NA, not applicable, in the dividend section. Now, to tell if it's been publicly traded for at least 2 years. Over here I've got the chart. If I click on 2 years, and there is data for the entire 2-year time period, then the company is viable as a choice for the project. But if I click back for, let's see, it actually hasn't been around for quite 2 years. I see that the chart just adjusted for when it was last, so when they first have data. So for 2 years, we would need it to be from 2011. So I'm going to type here 12/31, 2011. And it's blinking red to show me that it doesn't have that data. What it used to do is it would just put the entire date that I typed in there, and this section, since this would be back in, let's say, December of 2011, January, March, April, and May, or February, March, April, it just leave this part blank, and that would be my visual clue that it hasn't been traded for 2 years. So just make sure that if you click the 2-year time period and you look at the time frame on this axis, that it goes all the way back to December of 2012. Most major corporations that y'all can think of probably will. But that's how to tell if it's been around long enough. And then once you have major choices, you can just edit. I'm not quite sure if it shows it exactly the same way. What you can do is copy this table. So click on that and highlight it and copy this table, and then there should be a text submission area on your screen. It doesn't show up on my screen because I'm not submitting the project. And then you can just type your answers into the table. So you'd type PepsiCo Incorporated. The ticker symbol is PEP. The stock exchange, I think it was the New York Stock Exchange. And then the dividend, you just type in a yes. And then type your partner's name up here. Only one person from the team has to submit this project. And then because you selected your groups under people and y'all dragged your names into the group slots, it will submit the project for both of you. But fill out your 5 companies with that information, and then you need to choose a fund. Y'all don't know probably a whole lot about mutual funds right now, but you'll learn some about them over the course of the quarter. But a good website to find out fund information is Morningstar.com. They have a premium website, but they also provide a lot of information for free. So if you just go to Morningstar.com, you should get to this screen and then click on funds. You can screen for particular funds. If you see this little arrow with the plus sign, it means you need the paid mutuals Morningstar website, which you don't have, so you can't do these 4 screeners, but you could screen for, let's say, long-term winners. And it gives you 200 companies from that screener, and I think 200 companies is the max that a screen will give you. There may be more than 200, but the screener will only provide you with 200. And so you could just scroll through these and pick a company, a fund, technically. I'm just going to choose one. I will choose the American Funds. What is it? New Economy. Oh, that's that's not what I want. This is really I can't think of what it's called. A college fund to save money for college tuition, I believe. So I don't want one of those. I'm just going to click on funds again, and we will go with the highest, I don't know, small cap fund. Oh, gosh. I'm going to go back to the screeners again, and I'm going to choose a small, solid growth fund, and I'll just choose this one. Okay, now because I don't know a whole lot about funds, you may choose an odd fund, and I'll let you know if your fund is not acceptable. But in this particular case, I'm choosing a fund that's trying to find small cap companies, relatively small valued companies in terms of their total market cap, which is their stock price times their number of shares outstanding, that are growth companies. They're expected to grow quite rapidly in the future. These are also pretty risky companies, so this fund is probably going to be pretty volatile. I can see that it's been around for the past couple of years, and that's all I really need. So if I chose this fund, this is the company name, including that little S right there, and this is their ticker symbol. And so you'd come over here, and that's what you would type in this section. So complete this table, follow these instructions to submit your assignment, and again, only one person needs to submit that by the due date. And then I'll review it and let you know via the Canvas website whether or if any of your funds or your companies are unacceptable. If I don't say anything, then your companies and your fund are fine.